So you're using AI every single day, right? But now we've got GPT 5.4 and Claude Opus 4.6, and the big question is, which one should you actually be paying for? Maybe you're even shelling out for both and wondering if that's really necessary.
Well, I've spent weeks putting both of these models through their paces. I'm talking coding, long-form writing, the whole 9 yards. And honestly, the result is kind of surprising. There's no single clean winner here. But there is a super clear answer, and it all comes down to what you do.
So that's what we're going to do in this explainer. We're going to pinpoint exactly where GPT 5.4 crushes it, where Claude Opus 4.6 is the undisputed champ, and most importantly, how you can pick the right one so you can stop wasting money on the wrong model.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll meet the new AI titans, get inside their heads to see how they think, watch them battle it out in a coding showdown, look at the hard numbers, talk about the price of power, and then the final verdict.
First up, let's meet the new titans. We've got GPT 5.4, which landed in March 2026 as OpenAI's big new flagship. And then, just a month before that, in February, Anthropic dropped Claude Opus 4.6, their most powerful model ever.
Okay, so at first glance, you look at this and they seem almost identical, right? Huge 1 million token context window for both. Both can handle text and images, same max output, but don't let that fool you. Because once you get to that key tech row, that's where you see their core philosophies are just worlds apart.
And that's the perfect lead-in to the single biggest difference between these two models, how they actually think. The best analogy I've found for this is thinking of one as a contractor and the other as a senior consultant.
This really nails the difference. GPT 5.4 is your contractor. It follows your blueprint to the letter. You can even tweak its reasoning effort directly in the API. You tell it to think harder, it does. Tell it to hurry up, it'll rush. Claude, on the other hand, is the consultant. It steps back, evaluates the whole problem, and then decides for itself how much brainpower to use. It'll even break down huge tasks and give them to parallel agents to work on.
So what's under the hood for GPT 5.4? It's what they call a fusion model. Basically, OpenAI took their super powerful codex engine and just baked it right into the model's DNA. So it's not a language model that just happens to be good at code. No, it's a system built from the ground up specifically for execution. Claude's method is completely different. They call it adaptive thinking. It's built on a safety-first foundation, and it's designed to figure out on its own how much to think about a problem. It kind of sizes things up and then creates a game plan, which gives it this really strategic, layered way of handling complicated stuff.
Okay, now for the main event for a lot of you, the Coding Showdown. This is where the differences between these two models aren't just noticeable, they're huge. A clear champion definitely emerges.
And let's not beat around the bush. The verdict is in, and it's not even close. GPT 5.4 is, right now, the strongest coding model available. Full stop.
And the numbers absolutely back this up. Take Human Eval, a really standard benchmark for Python tasks. GPT 5.4 hits an impressive 93.1%. Now, Claude's 90.4% is great, but in a mature test like this, that almost 3-point lead for GPT is a really big deal.
But look what happens when we get to agentic tasks. That's just a fancy term for when the AI has to act on its own. On the terminal bench test, GPT 5.4 pulls ahead with a 75.1%. That is a massive 10-point lead over Claude. We're talking about a whole different level of capability here.
But, and this is super important, the benchmarks don't tell the whole story. It's about the style of the code. Claude's code is beautifully documented, it's clean, it has great comments, and it's way easier for a human team to maintain. GPT 5.4's code is leaner, maybe more efficient, but man, it often looks like it was written in a huge hurry.
Okay, so GPT 5.4 is the king of code. We've established that. But what about, well, everything else? Let's broaden our view and check out the performance numbers across the board.
All right, looking at this, it's a real horse race in some areas. Math, basically a tie. Broad knowledge, a tie again. GPT 5.4 pulls ahead on business tasks and wins the overall score. But take a look at that third row down. That's where Claude pulls off a really surprising upset.
And this isn't just any win. Claude scores a massive 87.4% on GPQA. This benchmark tests graduate-level reasoning. We're talking seriously complex multi-step scientific problems, and it beats GPT 5.4. This is where that consultant brain of Claude's really shines.
Okay, but performance is only half the story, right? All this power has to be paid for. So let's talk about the price, because this is where your wallet is really going to feel the difference.
And the numbers here are pretty stark. Claude Opus 4.6 is literally double the price of GPT-5 for input. For output, it's about 67% more expensive. And to top it off, OpenAI still gives you volume discounts, something Anthropic got rid of.
So what does this actually mean for you? Well, here's the bottom line. For anything that generates a lot of output, think long reports, big chunks of code, GPT 5.4 can be about 60% cheaper. And remember, it's faster too, cranking out 80 tokens a second compared to Claude's 55. For any business running this at scale, those savings are just enormous.
All right, we've covered the specs, how they think, their performance, and what they cost. It's time to put it all together. Let's get to the final verdict. Which one is the right tool for your job?
So here it is, plain and simple. You should choose GPT 5.4 if you need raw execution power. Think developers, data analysts, anyone who needs the best-in-class coding, pure speed, and maximum cost savings. But you should choose Claude Opus 4.6 if what you need is a collaborator. We're talking creative teams, strategists, anyone who needs top-quality writing and that deep, nuanced reasoning.
But you know what? Here's the real pro move. The smartest people out there aren't choosing one or the other. They're using a hybrid approach. They route all the heavy coding, the data work, the automation. All that stuff goes to GPT 5.4 for its speed and low cost. Then, when it's time for the final polish, the deep strategic thinking, they switch over to Claude. That is how you get the absolute best of both worlds.
So, after seeing all the evidence, where do you land? Are you firmly on Team GPT or Team Claude, or are you going to take the pro route and use both for what they do best? Let me know what you think.